Despite a tumultuous summer for the city, Mayor Bill de Blasio seems to have experienced no tumult in his support from city voters. New Q poll out this week shows the majority of voters approve of the mayor's job performance. According to the poll, 50% of voters approve of the job he's doing with the city. That's only down from 51% back in June. De Blasio remains more popular among black voters. 65% give him the approval. Compare that to just 36% of white voters. Now, back in June, 66% of black voters said they backed de Blasio, compared to 41%. The mayor's approval has kept steady even after the death of 43-year-old Eric Garner, who, of course, died after being put into a chokehold by an NYPD officer. Cannot say the same thing about the numbers for the city's top cop, Commissioner Bill Bratton. 48% of voters approve of the job he's doing. That's a lower rating than Ray Kelly ever had while he was serving as police commissioner for 12 years. Bratton's approval has taken a nosedive, or a bit of a dive, since June. He had a 57% level of support. Just after that came the Garner death. His death forced many to criticize the broken windows policy, which says that officers should target low-level offenders with the hopes of deterring major crime. As we know, Garner was under arrest for allegedly selling loose cigarettes, but 56% of voters say broken windows improves the quality of life, while just 35% say it leads to tension within the city. Also in the poll, Reverend Al Sharpton, who's publicly blasted broken windows, considered the top black leader in New York. 20% of voters say he's the city's most important black leader. 5% give that title to President Obama. 3% say it's Congressman Charlie Rangel, and 2% give it to Letitia James, the public advocate. No one else got more than 1%. And while Sharpton's considered New York City's top black leader, 49% say he's a positive force in the city. 40% say he is a negative force, so positive numbers for Sharpton as well. So let's go through these all very quickly. What do we make of de Blasio's numbers remaining steady while we're seeing a bit of a dip when it comes to Bill Bratton's numbers? Somehow any criticism or any downturn coming from the Garner incident is on Bratton and not on de Blasio. Well,
Bratton is a whole different situation. He's going to get it from those who want Ray Kelly and Giuliani, okay? They want that hardcore law enforcement. So he's getting hit from that side in a poll. And then from the other side, he's going to get hit because of the Garner incident and those who feel that stop and frisk really hasn't changed that much. So, you know, he's kind of going to get the attack. Now, if you're Ray Kelly and you're always supported by that block of voters, the law and order types, and you're always going to get attacked from the left. So the problem with situating yourself for Bratton in the middle is that now you got both sides coming, attacking you.
Let's face it, Bill Bratton hasn't been the same since the first time he was police commissioner. I don't know if he's up to the job, to be honest with you. I really don't. Let's cut through all the nonsense.
Yeah, what's your problem with Bratton?
Bill Bratton and Ray Kelly don't like each other at all. I'm telling you what I know. And they've played this game of one-upsmanship for who's going to be. Ray Kelly never got over the fact that Bill Bratton got the job before he did. And they've been in this competition thing with each other to be top cop of New York City. So now it's Bill Bratton's turn. Ray Kelly's off to the side. Bill Bratton lost the job the first time. I call him Hollywood Bill because he was always in front of the cameras. And because he lost the job the first time because of that to Rudy Giuliani, notice what he doesn't do this time. He's not in front of the cameras. City Hall controls his media appearances. And it just seems like I understand what you're saying, Brad, but he's not the same person anymore.
So you're saying his PR basically is making him less popular?
Excuse me? He's managed by a different mayor. That's the difference.
Right, but the first time Rudy didn't manage him as much. That cover of Time magazine, remember that? That cost him his job.
Yeah, but he was also a different commissioner in Los Angeles. It's about who your mayor is.
Right, he's not up for the job.
Bill Bratton's not up for the job. I object entirely and completely to that accusation.
But he's not up for the job.
He's a terrific commissioner.
What makes him terrific?
Oh my God, he's one of the top 3 commissioners.
Really?
With Ray Kelly, and I can't name the third guy.
He started Broken Windows as under tremendous attack.
He changed the entire landscape of law enforcement in New York City under Giuliani.
Jack Maple did.
Broken Windows just got a
54%.
Yeah, just got a vote of confidence from voters in the city.
Look, I think Bratton's problem is going to be whether or not he has the full enthusiastic support of the mayor. I sense a little bit, when you put the police commissioner up on the same dais with Al Sharpton and elevate Sharpton to that, I'm not quite sure. Look, Ray Kelly would never put up with that. Well, you go back to that poll, it is a very short time in this mayor's tenure. And I've always said is that he will be able to run his left-wing stuff as long as the city feels safe. The number that I would be concerned about in that survey is 35% among whites. That is a piece of New York that he cannot lose. He cannot lose that piece, and that's not a great number for an approval rating among whites in New York City. He needs white support in New York City to grow, to get jobs, to keep people in the city, et cetera, et cetera. You can't just be happy that 65% of African Americans support me. That is not a base of support that I think. Look, quite frankly, if I'm to the left of where Bill de Blasio is, 85-90% of African Americans should be supporting him. The white number would bother me a little bit. And he's got to do a better job, I think, of making people feel like there is an undercurrent here of we're not as supportive of the police as we should be. And that is what brought that city back once people started feeling safe.
I wonder if that misses the point a little bit. The whole point of de Blasio's popularity, the progressive push, is to provide greater empowerment to particularly minority voters and to re-enfranchise them economically.
Andrew, again,
but it's not. But it sounds like you're linking white voters or white voters in New York City with economic success.
I think I am to some degree. I think that, look, if you have the mom and pop store owners start fleeing New York, I think you run into a little bit of a problem.
The mom and pop store owners shouldn't just be white.
I'm not saying they should or shouldn't be. I would hope that they're all African American, quite frankly. I think that's better for society. They're all working, et cetera, et cetera.
I'll back Tommy just on the fact that he could use a little more white support. 35% for white support is pretty low for a New York City mayor, where there are a significant amount and percentage of white people.
Gentlemen.
So you do need that.
We got a newsflash
The
coming in.
demographics are changing. I know you have a hard time understanding that, but demographics are changing. They are changing.
What do you mean?
Meaning that, you know exactly what I mean.
No, I don't.
You know exactly what I mean.
I don't.
The numbers are changing. You can't just marginalize black people and Latino people and indicate that they're not important to a mayor's support. That's basically what you just said.
Dominic, they're tremendously important to his support, but I'm saying is that you can't go into a general election.
You're taking the bait.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm taking the bait.
I am a
I'm
little
not
bit.
taking the bait.
But
I'm taking
Tommy's taking the
what I'm
bait.
saying is that you can't have 35% of white New York as your
that's a
number.
low number.
All
Come
I'm
on.
saying
He
is
needs
that's
that. It's
a
not
low number.
That's not an equal
And what I'm
thing.
saying on the other side is I'm surprised that the number among African Americans isn't higher.
I agree with that.
That's what I'm saying.
But are you guys willing
I'm not marginalizing.
But are you guys willing to admit that the demographics are changing?
Of course the
Look,
demographics
America's
are
changing.
Yeah.
It's
That too.
I know that, and I've said
I know
that
a
for
lot
a
of
long
people have a hard
time.
time understanding Obama, but the demographics are changing of the country.
And of
But
New York
we
City,
know that.
too.
And of New York City.
You know what?
We know that.
We got into this debate over race in New York City, and I didn't even get analysis of the Sharpton numbers, which surprised me a little bit.
That's name wreck. It's name wreck entirely. Who were the other choices
No, I'm
that
not
were
saying
on
that.
there?
But
Obama's at
that
5.
he's seen as a positive force. 49% say he's a positive force. 40% say he's
Because
a negative
Andrew, it
force.
shows you what, as Dominic pointed out, the changing of New York City. New York City over the last 20 years has become more African American, more Hispanic. Whites have moved out. They're not moving into the city anymore. And of course, you're going to have an Al Sharpton who stands up and fights for equal rights, et cetera. His numbers are going to be fairly solid.
His numbers are going to be good because the mayor has embraced him. And when the mayor embraces him, it gives him legitimacy and more legitimacy.
They have the same numbers.
Bloomberg didn't embrace Sharpton.
But here's the thing:
Bloomberg
is
didn't
he
embrace
Not to the same degree.
not just like more recently? Okay, more recently, he was brought in to bring calm to the Garner March, right?
And did a great job with it.
And he did a great job. And the mayor was being blamed for bringing him into the mix and doing all that. But at the end of the day, the mayor was smarter than everybody else, okay? He brought all the parties together, and he really orchestrated what I think is the way. Because this is New York City.
Yeah.
Okay, this could have turned into a disaster. We've seen disaster here in this city. We've seen race riots. And you know something, under this mayor, you won't see it. Yeah, he embraced Sharpton. Some people don't like that, but there's a time and place for everything.
Sharpton may be a polarizing figure. I'll give you that much. But at least in communities of color, he is considered as the leader and the top leader. There's not even any close second. Calvin Butts is not even in the running.
I don't think there's
and
much
folks
debate
like
about that.
Now, if you ask some white leaders, they will, Calvin Butts. He doesn't have the support of the community. And see, that's what people don't want to deal with.
His name record is not nearly what Reverend Sharpton.
Sharpton's a national political
Right.
figure.
I mean,
He's a national
and
figure.
he's on in the
And he's a
media.
TV host, too.
Butch is a great, a great orator and a larger than life person, but he doesn't.
Okay,
White
all right,
community doesn't know
I
who
gotta
Calvin
move
Butch
on.
is.
I got to move on. Unfortunately, we're going to take a break. When we come back, it's the story that most people have been talking about today. We go to Arizona. 39-year-old gun instructor dead after being accidentally shot and killed by a 9-year-old girl at the shooting range as he was instructing her. Is it time for an age limit on gun usage? That and other aspects on this story when we come back.